Alright, so after the Colorado Avalanche defeated the Edmonton Oilers in a very high event Game 4 yesterday, they now move on to the Stanley Cup Finals, and the Edmonton Oilers season came to a very disappointing end. And even though the Edmonton Oilers had a very good season going all the way to the third round, with the way it ended, I don't know. I mean, there's just something about getting swept 4 straight by a team. It's never a good feeling to lose a series, but to lose it in that fashion has to be extra disappointing for them. Now let's look at the Edmonton Oilers' offensive numbers for their top 5 scorers in the playoffs in this series. So Connor McDavid had 3 goals, 4 assists, and 7 points in the series. Leon Draisaitl had 6 assists for 6 points, obviously. Evander Kane had 1 goal, 1 assist, and 2 points. He was suspended in Game 4. Zach Hyman had 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had 2 goals, 1 assist, and 3 points. Now, yes, McDavid and Draisaitl did not play like how they did in the Calgary series. That would be a very high expectation to have of them to continue that pace. And I think this series just really went to show how much Edmonton needed some depth. Yeah, they had some injuries. The Kyler Yamamoto injury definitely did not help them. He got injured in Game 2. That really hurt the Oilers. But how much did it really hurt them? I still think they could have overcame that injury, considering that Yamamoto is a good young player, but, he wasn't exactly producing at a really prolific rate in these playoffs. And the Colorado Avalanche had injuries of their own. Darcy Kemper was out, Nazem Kadri was out for Game 4. I mean, yeah, Evander Kane was too along with him because of the suspension. Also factor in that the Avalanche did not have Sam Girard since Game 3 of the second round. That really gives Edmonton no excuses. Now we need to talk about Mike Smith. I had high praises for this guy in my preview of the Western Conference Final. I even compared him to Grant Fuhr, that, saying he didn't let in the next one. Well, he not only let in the next one in this one, but he let in the next one after the next one. And that's never a good thing. Mike Smith definitely looked shaky all third round long. So you go to Game 3 as a prime example. The game is tied 2-2, and you could argue that Pavel Francouz, the Colorado Avalanche's backup goaltender, let in a soft goal on Ryan McLeod to tie the game up at 2. And the game's tied at 2. Edmonton hits a post. Yeah, I mean, that happens sometimes. JT Compher beats out Evan Bouchard for the puck. That's not a good look on Bouchard. He's got to make a stronger play there. But Mike Smith needs to make the save. I mean, that game ends up being 4-2 the final. And that's your game-winning goal. And it's not a good goal for Mike Smith to give up. So had Edmonton had better goaltending in this series, who knows? Maybe we're talking about a game. Well, we are talking about a Game 5. I firmly believe that. And maybe even a Game 6 in this series. Well, Edmonton's penalty killing was a strong point for them for most of the playoffs. It really let them down last night as the Colorado Avalanche went 2 for 2 on the power play. And Edmonton's power play only went 1 for 5. So when you're losing the special teams battle, when you're losing the goaltending battle, you're going to have a hard time winning. And Pavel Francouz comes in and plays really well for the Colorado Avalanche after Darcy Kemper went down with injury. And for Edmonton, it's got to be a bad feeling knowing that their backup played better than your starting goalie. This is probably the strongest team Edmonton has had in the McDavid era, the most depth. But the depth ended up failing them in the end once again, as it seems to do every year. I would have liked to seen a lot more out of Nugent-Hopkins, maybe some more out of Zach Hyman in this series as well. And even Evander Kane, before he got suspended, I thought could have been better too. And I know some people are going to say, well, Leon Draisaitl had no goals in this series. Yeah, it's easy to look at that and say he didn't perform well. But hey, this guy was playing on one leg pretty much. I mean, he had a high ankle sprain, I believe, or he has a high ankle sprain. And to play through that must have been very painful. So props to him for, sticking it out, staying in the games, not sitting out any games. And he had a heck of a performance against Calgary, but I think the injury might have proved to be a little too much for him in the end. And maybe a guy like Kyler Yamamoto gets even better. I think he does at only 23 years old. That could be some in-house depth for Edmonton instead of going out trying to acquire some. It's definitely going to be an interesting offseason in Edmonton, even though they did make it to the third round. But like I said earlier, when you get swept by a team 4 straight, you definitely have to have some self-reflecting. Those are my thoughts on the Edmonton Oilers. Please let me know what you all think in the comment section below. Also, please like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.